वीकेंड लॉकडाउन वाला सा होगा इसका कोई मतलब नहीं है।
But one thing is very clear, huh? People are making a lot of jokes. They're saying यहाँ पे election हो रही है, वहाँ पे कोई lockdown की जरूरत नहीं, वहाँ पे कोरोना नहीं आएगा।
Okay, so it's right 4 p.m. So good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome you all for a webinar by EQ on issue or a challenge that our manufacturers are facing. But before that, I'd love to introduce myself and EQ a little bit. So we are a 12-year-old company. This is our 13th year in the renewable energy sector. And ever since we have been publishing magazine monthly in print and digital. We have a daily newsletter, we have a daily updated news website, and we have numerous conferences and webinars and events. And we are spread across India and Central Asia, Southeast Asia, Middle East, and Africa. So that's a brief introduction about myself. And now today we have basically gathered here to discuss about Make in India and the challenges our Indian manufacturers are facing. So first of all, it is very clear that, as we all as Indians love to see the manufacturing rise over here in India, and that is what the government of India also wants. And I think earlier also government of India supported local manufacturing with policies such as DCR tenders and DCR portions. And now I think last 3 years has been the safeguard duty protection for Indian manufacturers. And since the safeguard duty is going to expire and there is a need, and with the request of Indian manufacturers, government has taken a good decision of levying 40% BCD on modules and 25% BCD on solar cells. So that definitely is there. That's a welcome move, and I'm sure all the manufacturers and the people employed by the manufacturers, everyone is thanking the government of India. And I mean, nevertheless, like everyone in the industry always thank MNRE and the government. But definitely it is also not going to be, I think, looks like a cakewalk and a clear win for our dear Indian manufacturers, as there are bigger challenges to it. So we are here to discuss one of the challenges, as because it's solar in the manufacturing kind of an ecosystem. Probably cells and modules are still they are part of the lower end of the entire stream, and there is much more to it, starting from polysilicon and then ingot and then wafer, and even cell manufacturing, which is not available in India to the full scale. So this situation has definitely arisen in the current, and I have been speaking to a lot of Indian manufacturers. And what is happening is right now, though the forecast is there that the module prices will rise, but right now it looks like a stable module price regime, and whereas the raw material prices is rising, and the raw material shortages are happening. And this is causing a huge shrinkage in the margin for Indian manufacturers. And a margin shrink in module manufacturing means definitely a big trouble, because already it is a very, it's a volume based work, and it is a low margin based work, I would say. So I think that's as a challenge we all need to discuss and understand what is the way forward, and what are the various nitty-gritties with respect to that. So I welcome you all for this webinar, ladies and gentlemen. I'm really thankful to all of you for taking time out of your busy schedule and joining us. First of all, we welcome Mr. Vishwanath, who is the product management head from Adani Solar. Thank you very much for joining us and agreeing to moderate the session for us. Along with him, I warmly welcome all the distinguished panelists, starting with Dr. Nikhil Agrawal, AGM Solar PV Model Technology from Mahindra Susten, Mr. Chotu Chaudhary, COO from AMP Solar, AMP Energy, Mr. Bimal Jindal, Director SCM from SB Energy, Mr. Ajay Mishra, AGM International BDM Marcom, Vari Energy, Mr. Manish Gupta, Founder Director from Insolation Energy, Mr. Vineet Mittal, co-founder and director, Nivatas Green Solutions, Mr. Sanjeev, head procurement solar business from Sterling and Wilson, Mr. Sarvesh Kumar Singh, head supply chain management from Azure Power, Mr. Rajesh Singh, VP operations from RenewSys India, and Mr. Sachin Patra, Senior Manager Sales Climate Change from EKI Energy Services and King International. So welcome you all. Since it is quite a rich panel and it's a very, very interesting panel, as we have both Indian manufacturers and top developers from India and their top procurement heads and a top very, very leading EPC company and also a carbon management company with us. So it's going to be very, very interesting. And I request all the panelists to please be mindful of the time. Try to summarize or express yourself in around 5 to 7 minutes. And definitely then the chat room is there for more discussions also between the audience, etc. So without further ado, I'll hand over to Mr. Vishant Venkateshji from Adani Solar to express his opinion and then start the panel discussions amongst the other panelists. Thank you very much. Over to Mr. Venkatesh. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Arvind Gupta and the EQ team. A very good afternoon to one and all present here, and I'm very happy to be moderating this very exciting topic of increasing raw material price trends and also various fluctuations in the market with high volatility in the market. We've recently not seen in the long past an increasing material prices and increasing module prices. So it's sort of transcend the industry from being typically being a buyer's market to sort of a seller's market, so as to say, for a bit of time. So I welcome all the other panelists and experts from different streams. So I think we have various top EPC companies and developers and raw material manufacturers and cell and module manufacturers. So I think we can explain to how the industry is forecast in the coming short term, medium term, and the long term segments. And so we'll throw the discussion open. So those without much time, I'll start the discussion with with the EPC company. So my first question would be to Mr. Sanjeev Pushkarna. Good afternoon, sir. To start with, being a top EPC company, I mean, so you will be in the crux of the nucleus of the entire purchase of the segment. So how do you see the module prices moving in the last 6 months? How are you seeing the module prices increasing? So what sort of percentages you've seen on an increase in the module percentage, and what do you see in the upcoming short term and the medium term segments?
Yeah, so good evening. As you rightly said, the module pricing have been on a rise recently. I mean, I have been observing a different phenomena starting from September 2020. Before that, everybody was thinking the module prices will come down, and I mean, there was a talk. People were talking about 12 cents or 10 cents also. I'm talking about Chinese vendors, and same Indian vendors were trying to copy that. But after post September, I have seen a different trend which has started, and people have started quoting on a higher price, basically because of polysilicon. First it was glass, then it became polysilicon, then it became cells. And so that has been a trend which is really disturbing in a sense for an EPC, because we have to, when we sign a contracts, we have to honor those contracts based on the fixed price contracts. And there has been a substantial, as one of the panelists said, there has been a challenge that Indian government wants Indian module manufacturers also to start their more and more offerings, but with price going up, even Indian module manufacturers are not able to manage that. So there is no advantage when we are getting from Indian manufacturers as on date. Coupled up with that, now there is a duty which has been imposed. So it's a welcome move that we'll get more and more module manufacturers, or there'll be a force on Indian developers or Indian government entities to buy from Indian module manufacturers. But I have a concern here. I mean, how do then when you don't have a capacity available here, how do we reach our targets where we have on 2022, where we have said we'll be reaching 100 gigawatts by 2022, and today cumulatively solar installation in India is not even 39 gigawatts. Last year we could do 3.2 gigawatt installations because of COVID. So the trend, what the mission, the thought process, what the Indian government is thinking is not matching with the existing capacities available in Indian market. People are starting to build up or ramping up the capacities, but I don't see it can go up drastically, and we have to depend on Chinese vendors unless Adani's and Vari's and some people like you ramp up the capacities substantially. So this will be a major challenge in the coming years.
Yeah. So yeah, thank you so much for your insights, Mr. Pushkarna. So my next question would be to our fellow manufacturing industry. Mr. Mittal from Navitas. So if I could ask you, so what has been the recent constraints that you see in terms of procurement of raw materials? So, and what sort of price have you seen on price increase in different raw materials, and what are the constraints do you see in terms of procurement and sort of timeline, and how much of an impact it has had on the overall module pricing from an Indian manufacturing perspective?
RenewSys is going to join till 4:30, sir.
Okay.
Meeting. Yeah.
No worries. So yeah, maybe I can transfer this question to another manufacturer present here. So Ajay Mishra, I mean, so if you could take up the same question. So like what sort of trends do you see in terms of raw material price trends, and what sort of impact it has had on the overall module price increase in the last 6 months, and what do you sort of foresee in the next coming short term 3 months to 6 months time period?
Thank you, Vishant. We being the largest manufacturer in India, the major challenge right now is the rising prices. So the prices have risen almost for certain small raw materials also, like even the RCT, the price has risen by 200%. And we are majorly dependent for all the major raw material that comes in India that's coming from a neighboring country. So what we can say is, what we see is like there is a price control happening from the neighboring country, and on all the raw material that have been bought in India, there are some or the other duties been imposed. But when there is a finished product coming in India, there is no duty being imposed. So for a manufacturer to get a raw material from a foreign country here and then getting it manufactured here, already we are not getting a level playing field. Our module prices go high because when you're getting a module from a neighboring country, there are no duties. Like there is a SGD right now, but then that again is like minuscule 15% SGD, which is not been effective, because even though if there was 15% SGD, 85% of the modules were bought from the foreign country itself. Only 15%, hardly 15 to 12% was the market share which all the Indian manufacturers like you, me, and everybody shared that 15%. 85% has been coming from the foreign country itself. And what I see the major challenge right now is that we are very behind in terms of developing the ecosystem. There was no ecosystem being developed in India. We are almost 10 years behind from China in terms of the ecosystem that needs to be developed here. So there are certain small components at least we can take step, like for glass, for EVA, for backsheet, for aluminium. For all these smaller components also we are dependent on our neighboring countries, and there have been duties been imposed on it. And when we try to get it from there, we are paying a duty and we try to manufacture it over here. Okay. So if we develop at least that ecosystem, I know that it will be it wouldn't be possible at this point of time to get into polysilicon and wafer and other stuff. But yes, from cell to the entire backward value chain, if we develop that, and government of India has taken a very good move in terms of implementing the BCD, but then the BCD again is getting implemented in the month of April 2022. Okay, so by that time, and the SGD goes by the July. From July to April, there is no barrier at all. And taking the cue from the BCD being imposed, a lot of manufacturers have already announced that they are going to ramp up their capacities. There is already an announcement of almost around 10 gigawatt with 10 gigawatt being added up. We ourselves are adding up 3 gigawatt. So our 3 gigawatt will be ramped up by the month of August or September. Now, when I have another 3 gigawatt along with this 2 gigawatt, this 5 gigawatt when I'm having with me, and there is no barrier on the neighboring country to dump the modules here, how do I compete? Where do the people who are working in my factory go? How will I be able to sell it? And then on top of that, all the raw materials have the duties. Major raw materials have the duties. So I believe immediate action needs to be taken at this point of time, so that there is some relief given to the Indian manufacturers. And see what has happened in the past. Like if we look at the example of automobile industry, what happened in the past and how automobile industry has taken up at this point of time. If you see, there is not even a single bigger manufacturer who doesn't have a manufacturing plant in India. All the big manufacturers have their plant in India, and India is the largest market for the smaller automobiles. And we are doing best in that. It's just taking a heat for another 1 year or 6 months. That's the only time. After that, we'll be able to develop an ecosystem completely in India. And then the price control will be at our end. Will not be dependent on the neighboring country for the price control. The price control will be at our end, and we shall be able to reach the required targets. And then investors also will have the faith that is okay, if we invest in solar, there is going to be a return on investment. So that's what I feel as an industry expert, that this should have been done.
Great. Thanks, Ajay. I think, yeah, we have also Mr. Mittal joining in. So, Mr. Mittal, I also wanted to get your insights on, what has been the, price increase that you have seen in raw materials, and what sort of percentages that you have seen in the last 3 to 6 months, and what do you see in the coming 3 to 6 months, and what does it translate to the module price percentage increase? I mean, so how much has it been increasing from the last, say, 6 months to the current timeline?
Yeah, thank you for inviting me for this. It's a very pertinent subject to talk about. Not just solar sector, I would say, overall,
प्लीज सर आपकी आवाज क्लियर नहीं है सर.
Hello.
Your voice is not clear.
Your voice is not
I'm
audible.
saying that.
Yeah.
Hello. Is it fine now?
Yeah, better.
I was saying that the overall industry, whether it is solar or polymers or textile or so many sectors, they are facing issues of rising prices after this COVID situation has started, and we have not been left behind. I mean, in terms of raw material prices for the materials like glass, it has doubled up. EVA has gone more than 2.5 times. So we're not talking in percentages, we're talking in multiple times. Ribbon has almost like doubled up. So copper basically, which used to be around say 450-500 rupees a kg. I'm talking of base metal. We can check the LMI metal index. It's now crossing 900-950 rupees for pure copper and for the blended copper, depending on the material. So like here we use copper with tin coating and all that. So aluminum price increased in last couple of months. Cell prices have increased by more than, I think, 20-25% in last 1 month. So overall, the module prices, at least in the polycrystalline, have gone by more than 20%. It's a very big jump. The industry has some demand due to March ending targets, but overall the prices are not sustainable. But still, we don't have much in our hands due to dependency on China. And till the time we are dependent on overseas suppliers, one is that we will be always under the pressure of accepting whatever they offer us. Secondly, the delivery timelines have increased from maybe a week to 30 days after we pay 100% advances. So the lead time has increased drastically. What used to be say 40, 45 days from the payment till shipment reaching the factories. Now it has reached maybe 60 days, 75 days, in some places even 90 days. 90 days we have been waiting for glass to reach our factories, and even the local suppliers, because they are flush with orders, we have to wait in our queue. They will allotting us material as per their production capacity, not because we want more, because they have to satisfy all the customers, which is very natural. They can't depend on 1 or 2 or 3 customers. So overall, and I'm sure in the project level, the price of copper, price of transformers have increased. The cable prices, electrical items, switchgear items, they have all increased a lot. So people who had been waiting to see that reduction in prices and waiting for procurement, I'm sure they are losing a lot of money in this state, and the trend is looking to continue. The trend for May, June, at least in polycrystalline, looks above 19.5 rupees upwards, and the price, the difference between mono and poly is becoming lesser and lesser now. The prices of poly are increasing because of more demand and lesser suppliers, and most of the suppliers in China are converting themselves into mono rather than poly. So whatever demand we have for uh, poly, there are few suppliers, so they have huge demand in that. And I'm repeating the same thing, but it's a very important. In India also, because we have limited cell suppliers, handful of them. So we know how they are being able to enjoy the monopolistic situation. So overall, I mean, my humble request is that any PC company, any project developer, they have to consider this situation while quoting any projects as a EPC or as a bidding for any reverse auction in tenders, because understand or can forecast when will this situation slow down. It doesn't seem like that. Normally, since last 8-9 years, we've always seen decreasing prices. Uh, anytime anyone bids a tender which is like 12 months or 18 months away, they would assume that there will be a 3 to 5% reduction, which is not the case anymore. I mean, it will be super risky if they still assume that prices will reduce. It will not sustain at the current levels. We don't know. We can't predict like that. So even we have been getting inquiries for 2022 post BCD implementation. What will happen, because I mean, with this 40% duty coming in, there will be a lot of demand for Indian manufacturers. But we can't predict any pricing, and we can't commit any pricing for the developers, because we don't know. They are sandwiched between raw material suppliers from overseas and customers in India market. Until unless we don't develop the ecosystem within India, it will be very challenging. We have recently started our own raw materials manufacturing for modules component called EVA, and the raw material prices again for the EVA manufacturing has increased by more than double. And that is the reason the prices for EVA as a film, which has increased by 2.5 times. So almost all the raw materials, the situation is really bad.
Great. Great, Mr. Mittal. So I just wanted to check one more question with you. So do you see, from the buyer side, I mean, your buyers are willing to have an increase in price, maybe midway of a contract, and also from your supplier side, do you see, suppliers, adhering to contracts, and how do you sort of see the situation?
At least in the vendor side, when we work with these Chinese suppliers, I mean, they don't take a second to reverse their contracts even after getting 100% payments. So if, for example, we have got a quote today and we pay them 100% advance, then the very next day, they will not take the 100% advance. They will take 50% advance. they will not take refund the whole money, or they will ask us to accept the new price. After taking the 100% advance, they are ready to refund. They will be ready to cancel the LCs. We have seen so many instances, including ours, where LCs have been regretted because they say that we can't afford the pricing. So either you take back the LC, or we will reduce the quantity to adjust the increase in price. But sitting in India while working with the customers closely, it's not always possible to pass on the increase in price. Generally in India we work more on relationships, definitely. And then if we have accepted some orders, contracts have been signed, generally we are bound to follow them. We can't just go away from them, because once we have accepted an order, raw material pricing was in our domain. It is not the customer to worry about. Whatever future orders we have to take, maybe we can fix up a formula to link the prices with some other raw material pricing. But until unless we don't have such safety net, then it's very difficult convince the customer, and it is not even correct to ask them for the change in price until unless there is some so the contracts, if they have paid the money in time, then we have to honor it. If they have been delaying the payments for no reason, and if we are not able to supply, then maybe the vendor might be able to pass on some limited price difference. But normally India, we have to honor our prices.
Got it. That was an interesting insight from your side. Thank you. Yeah, and my next question is to, I think we have one of the ancillary unit, encapsulant and backsheet manufacturer, one of the top manufacturers from India. Good evening, Mr. Rajesh. So my next question is to you. So I think the entire industry has seen an increase in the encapsulant prices the last 6 to 8 months. So can you for the benefit of everyone, can you explain what impacts the EVA and backsheet prices to increase, and how interrelated it is to crude oil pricing, and what are the key factors that buyers should look at when procuring EVA and backsheets, and what do you see as a long-term impact for Indian manufacturers per se in comparison to import of raw materials from EVA and backsheets?
Okay, thanks Vishant, and good afternoon everyone. Okay, this question is little lengthy to answer, because recent price increase in EVA and backsheet is connected to few factors, not only one factor. Historically, EVA and backsheet are made out of plastics, and most of the plastic material come from crude oil. So there is a direct linkage with little longer chain, but direct linkage with the crude prices. So generally, if crude prices are going up, all RM related to polymer will go up, and so our input material becomes expensive. But the current reason of price hike was not merely crude. In fact, crude was not very high. It was rather medium or lower medium range when from the time prices start increasing. And this exactly happened because of demand supply imbalance. Demand supply imbalance caused by pent up demand from industry, not only from solar, even from non-solar industry. You see, the polymer is polymer. Generally, manufacturing facility for granules, resins are similar or same for EVA, for polyester, or for polyethylene to large extent. I'm saying from that very broader perspective. So what happened if I compare the prices which were in say April 2021 and the prices today, so April 2020 and prices today, our input prices have also gone up over 100% to 150%, especially for EVA. And EVA resin counts a major quantity, major BOM part from the cost point of view. Similarly, the cost of polyester, which is again a major component of backsheet, has gone up to around 60%. So there's the reason, if you see, the escalation in FG price of backsheet has not shoot up the way it has happened in EVA, because EVA input material has gone up. Why it has gone up? Because of pent-up demand, I said. Why? Because after COVID lockdown was started, people started ramping up capacity, ramping up production in China, started with China, then in India and everywhere. And manufacturing of feedstock of polymer, you take the big name like John Mobile, LG, Hanwha, DuPont, Dow, these people were actually they had shut down their few of the plants just to ensure that inventory is not building up too much. At the same time, they have to control the COVID issues. So they were trying to moderate the supply. In fact, few of their plants were shut down. So they had shut down plants from say April, May, June for some time, and they were trying to work on the very least inventory. But what happened when lockdown was open gradually, all of a sudden demand came and there was acute shortage in the pipeline. So material becomes short. When these people had started business after COVID, in fact, prices were lower. Prices were somewhat in some pocket lower than pre-COVID prices. But immediately after 1 month, it started shooting up. And today, as I said, the EVA resin price has gone over 140% than what was the price we had bought in July, maybe April, May, and June. It started shooting up after mid-June or so. So this was one of the reasons. Second, we all know what happened to transportation, shipment. The material which we were importing from, say, typical Europe or US, or from Korea, Korea is one of our major suppliers of actually EVA resin. $100, $1,000 shipment, which used to come before COVID, become $4,000, $4,500. And in spite of this, there are no availability of shipment, you know. So a lot of logging of material at origin port in India, it happened. And in fact, we were trying to see how we can make sure that material is available to run the factory. Price never became, at that time, never was a matter of concern. And there was a situation even today, right from last 6 months to today, if you order more, they charge more because they're still saying there's a limited capacity, there's a limited production. Generally what happens, you order more, you get volume discount. But here if you order more, they will maybe charging 1 cent or 2 cents more because they are a very tight supply situation and they are not able to cater requirements. And most of the requirements are going in China. Now coming to the other part, what is going to happen further is there is today almost zero inventory or maximum 7 days inventory of material of polymer from factory to from producer to consumer. So entire world is today working from 0 to 7 days inventory for polymer, because polymer consumption has also gone up because of health and hygiene post-COVID. Now all the PP kits are made out of polypropylene, polyethylene, which is actually a sort of derivative of EVA, where EVA are made. The same equipment is used for making LDP, LLDP, PP also in some extent, to some extent. So that has further created the demand of polymer, and then it aggravated the situation overall. So now there is one thing, prices of EVA and polyester will be firm for next, at least for EVA, for next 3 to 4 months. And after that, around 700,000 capacity is going to open up from September, and it will continue till maybe end of this financial year, which is March 22. So there will be ease out of supply base for EVA, and we expect that prices should start softening from September, October, November, especially for EVA. Now for backsheet, we don't find a definite capacity expansion in this field, which is polyester manufacturing. So overall, globally, if you see, polyester is under short supply, even otherwise, because consumption has increased in cable industry, in electronic industry. Over and above, consumption of polyester has also started happening in health and hygiene. For example, all these face shield, the polyester film which you see is having big consumption. So those consumption has been diverted, and this again become a tight supply. So polyester prices has not gone so much somehow, but they will still remain firm till end of this year. And only after this, some capacities are coming globally, and we hope that they will start softening after maybe third quarter of 2021 and 22. That is what we understand from the insider news overall. Third point I want to mention here, that we have been struggling to pass on the increase to customers. It's not easy, because if you see our prices of EV or backsheet, which has increased, the major raw material has increased from say up to 125%, 130% for EVA and around 60% in polyester. We have not increased the prices of FG that way, because we have to absorb some cost, because customer is not ready, neither they are able to take all the impact solely. So we are trying to manage somehow that we survive, customers survive, and we still make a business sense, support each other, because things are acute, things are not under control. What only we have ensured during that time, that we buy material, ensure that our factory don't go empty, and factory keep on supplying to customer wherever we have committed. It was difficult for us to give longer commitment, but wherever we have committed, even the prices has gone up, we have given the supplies on the rate committed. That is what we have been doing, and we are able to do so far. So that is what I can sum up from my side. Overall, things are somehow not under control, and at the same time, we have also seen when we try to take support from customers, and majority of them understand, because they are
first time उनकी शक्ल देखी.
So that's what I can put across, Vishant, from my side.
Great. Thanks.
That was the first one.
Just requesting the moderators to mute the other participants. Great. Thanks, Rajesh ji, for your insights and what impact the encapsulant industry or the polymer industry has given to the market. So that brings my next question to Mr. Bimal from SoftBank. Good evening, Mr. Bimal. Wanting to check from being one of the renowned and largest developers in the country. How do you plan for such volatility in different segments that has caused increase in pricing? So not just raw materials, even for the matter, freight costs have increased 3x or even 2x, 3x, and like different other commodities like silver, crude oil pricing also being impacting the price increases, and glass has contributed quite significantly to the model price increase, and also the recent shortages. So how is SoftBank planning on your global markets, not just India but also development of projects in other countries? So do you use some sort of a hedge strategy in overcoming this situation?
Thanks, Vishant. I think you have touched upon a couple of points. One on the raw materials, second on logistics, third on the uncertainty on the model prices. So I think this time what is happening is unprecedented in the industry. All of these factors has never came together. So this is, I think, one of the very rare times if you look at the history of solar industry, which is there for last 10-15 years. All of these things never happen in one shot. There are always challenges, but they were like in piecemeal. So this time everything is happening. I think let me talk first on logistic part. The logistic part, I believe, is already getting better, but yes, it has not reached the pre-COVID levels. The container which used to cost like $500 now costing $3,000 to $4,000, and I'm hearing now it is getting more than further. So there's a massive gap of demand and supply which is leading to this kind of situation. I believe there are a couple of other countries who have picked up the demand, and the containers are getting diverted to those countries instead of India, which is leading to this shortage. The way industry is looking at, I believe this situation is not going to last long. It may be better in the next 1 quarter or so. So things are getting better and better. But yes, how soon it will reach to the pre-COVID levels, that is one question mark, and definitely it's impacting the financials. So one of the approach can be to plan well in advance, which was not the case in the past. You can go and you are never worried on the container or logistic part. Now this also throw a couple of challenges for all the developers, EPCs, or even I will say the module manufacturer who are bringing a lot of material from China. So everyone need to plan out. It's not that easy. The second part on the raw material, I believe, a couple of our panelists have already spoken. I will not take much of time, but yes. So it's one of the concerns. Going forward, we are talking about self-reliant or Atmanirbhar India. It will all depend on how we are going to fully integrate our supply chain. So until there is a 100% backward integration, it will not be easy. I believe Vineet was also pointing some of the challenges that the Indian customers will not listen once the order and they want them to stick to the number, right? So Rajesh also highlighted a couple of concerns. So we need to see, you cannot say that you are self-reliant if you are going to control only one part of the supply chain and another part is dependent on the other side. So we, as a country, need to see how one can support the ancillary part also of the solar manufacturing, not focusing only on the modules and cells. I believe government is already taking some of the actions. They are very supportive. We need to see what are the guidelines and what are the timelines for this. Unless that did not happen in full scale, it will be very difficult. So if you look at the polysilicon and wafers are still going to come from China, even if we talk about manufacturing in India. So that is going to one of the big challenges. So we need to see how that can be handled and how that can be made workable in India. I believe it will take some time, maybe a few years, but definitely that is going to be another part. Now coming to the module prices, because of the raw material, because of this BCD also has thrown, one challenge, which I will call it as a short-term challenge, not in the long term, but yes, everyone is rushing to procure the modules before 31st March 22. They believe this 40% duty they need to pay. It will definitely impact the cash flows. It will definitely impact the equity returns because you need to pump in a lot of money. So now there are a lot of discussion going on how to salvage this. There's another concern or constraint which we have. There's no clarity what is going to happen from July to March of 22, the period which will not have any safeguard duty of BCD. So there's no clarity. There's speculation there might be some duty to compensate and motivate the Indian manufacturer so that they can continue with the manufacturing drive in India. So if that clarity did not come on time, I think that will also pose a challenge in the short term for the Indian manufacturers. And I believe Adani is also one of the biggest manufacturers. I believe you guys also need to take a lot of lead and to see how you can do it. Another factor which I believe is impacting and not helping at the moment is the technology transfer. All the Indian manufacturers are more focused on poly at the moment, so they need to quickly turn around and go with the technology transfer to monomer. So I believe that step also will take some of the time. So this need to be seen. In nutshell, if we see the logistic, I see in the short term it's a challenge, but it's anyway getting improved. The things are getting better and better with the COVID impact getting reduced. However, on the raw material side, I believe China is doing better. Even to my understanding, when I was talking to a couple of partners, Chinese government is going to push this glass manufacturing. They are already giving some clearances. I believe that is going to help the glass shortage also, which was one of the major constraints for the model manufacturer. So everything which was supposed to settle by Q4 came into another constraint, which is BCD. So now most of the developers or EPC in India want to finish the plants by 31st March. So that needs to be seen how it will go, how this demand and supply will be handled. This is one of the big challenges for the industry. It's not going to be easy. There's no straightforward answer. You need to work closely with Indian partners. We are already discussing with a couple of Indian partners. We are talking to Chinese partners. We need to see how overall the solution will be better. So let's see. That's my take on that. Yeah.
Great, great. Thanks, Mr. Jindal. So I'll just circle back to you with a few more questions in a bit. So my next question is to Mr. Chotu Chaudhary of AMP Energy. So Mr. Chaudhary, just wanted to check, what has been your, impact in terms of model procurement or be it any other BOS components. So have you seen any stoppages in procurement, or do you see any strategies being changed in terms of wait and watch and move forward in the future, or do you see price increasing and placing orders at this particular point of time? And also, if you could explain to the audience, what sort of impact in terms of percentage on the overall EPC cost has sort of the end result, the cost factor, how much of it has been increased, and how has it translated to your current contracts, and do you see also new bids being having higher price bids being processed?
Yeah, thanks. So I think you have asked so many questions one at a time. Good. So actually, see, first of all, we cannot determine and forecast the market because the solar industry is a very unprecedented thing is happened this year because of a lot of things is happened. Not only one factor is affecting the rising of the prices or something like that, right? So I will give my perspective in the different angle. First of all, you can see the logistic part, raw material part, and the line in India and capability in India, and then other factor like the taxes and duty, which government has also imposed suddenly. And apart from that, the other raw material which constitutes for the solar like the ribbon and glass and the copper prices and the aluminum prices has been also increased in this year only within the few months, right? So there's a lot of factor has affected. And suddenly the supply and demand gap is also happened, some of my colleagues were saying. So this is also one factor is impacting the prices. But definitely, I don't think it is happening every year. Whenever you can take the history from 2010 to till date, this thing is happen every year. And the situation has gone stable within a 6 or 7 months of the timeline. So still, I think I'm very hopeful and positive. The things is going to be stable after certain time. It is not going to be forever because if the market is going into that direction, other manufacturer, EPC partner, IPP are also thinking into that direction. So sometimes it is required, right? Sometimes it is required to develop the capability of the India. And this is a good sign, right? When people are talking, I mean, I think government has given a lot of time for the Indian manufacturer also a couple of years, right? But they have not developed. But this is the right time. They have to take the risk and they have to develop because it is a completely driven by the China, right? Everything we are depending on the China. Either it is a raw material, or it is a module, or it is a cell, or it is a backsheet, or it is EVA, or it is a glass, or it is a logistic, right? So everything is we are completely, because in India we don't have the vertical integration. Even the China also, the most of the module manufacturer, they don't have the vertical integration. That is one factor which impacting the prices. One or two manufacturer who had the vertical integration, or they are producing the cell and glass and other, they are doing the monopoly in the system, right? They wanted to earn more money, they wanted to earn more margin, and they have to fluctuate the other market. So that is one scenario I have perceived. I don't want to, I know the name, but I don't want to take the Chinese people name, who is it, just making monopoly in the system to increase the prices. Everybody know, right? Definitely one of my colleagues also said, yes, like the EVA and other prices has been increased because of there is other demand in the other segment also. So EVA and polysilicon or polycrystal, everything is not we are using for only for the solar. The people have used in the other aspect also. Even it is a primarily raw material is a crude, which crude is not so high. It is either average or low, but still the price is high because of the demand factor and because of the logistic factor also. When you are bringing the material from Korea to India or China to India, we are not getting the regular container because there is a curing period due to the COVID, right? The same container you cannot use. So that is also determining or impacting the prices. But coming into my perspective or developer perspective, different developer have the different prospecting at this time. Somebody they are trying to commission the project like Vimal has said. Somebody is waiting and watch. Somebody is doing the strategy. How we can go in the strategy. Either we are going to develop some partnership consortium with the local guys or the Chinese, or we are going to buy some of the individual item or going to substitute. So everybody has a different strategy. Nobody has opened up their own strategy. So still we have some also a strategy, and we are also thinking in the different direction. But at this moment in this forum, at least I cannot disclose what we are going to do. That definitely we are going to do. We are doing very new things, which will at least intact our IRR, whatever we have constituted in during the BD, or we have the private segment, because we have the three types of PPA. One is the rooftop, then the CNI, and then the utility. So we are making the different strategies for all the three segments, right? Because some of the PPA requirement right now, then definitely I have to commission. With some of the PPA requirement is not now, but we have the sufficient timeline. We are thinking for that direction also. Either we will commission before or after, or we have to wait and watch, or we can see how the dynamic is happening, how the movement is happening, what Indian our partner is doing, how they are going to scale up their capacity, and how Chinese is going to behave and other countries going to behave, how government is going to support, and what is happened during July till March. This factor is also people are watching how it is going to happen between of that period, right? So there are a lot of factors in this moment, and definitely we are thinking in that direction, and we have taken some call. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Chaudhary. So that brings my next question to Mr. Sarvesh of Azure Power. Good evening, Mr. Sarvesh. So I just wanted your 2 cents on, what should be, the short-term and mid-term strategy for, large-scale developers and, medium-sized developers, or even small-scale developers. And, so do you also see, like price trends going up, or do you see price trends going down in 6 months down the line? So do you also work on any sort of long-term contracts, and so as to freeze any prices for maybe 6 months or 12 months down the line? Predominantly Indian market has seen like downward trend, so people always used to keep placing orders in tranches. So do you see a long-term trend long-term agreement would make better sense going forward? And also, how much of a sanctity to bring into contractual management? So if you can throw your 2 cents on this.
Good evening to all of you. Actually, there are a couple of challenges being faced by almost all of the developers. The developers' plight is different. Their tariff is fixed, and they have put in the bid on the basis of certain assumptions that what will be the module prices, what will be my US cost, and with few contingencies. Normally in solar, we have came to a point after say 10 to 15 years of experience that contingency will not be more than 1.5 or 2%. So we have built in those costs in our project costs, and since starting from September 2020, the things has gone significantly high. Module prices has gone say maybe 25% higher than, or 30% higher. What it used to be. Earlier, we have seen the trends. There was a spikes in say for 1 quarter, and then it goes down. And but this is a continuous uptrend from the say September to till now, and we don't foresee it's coming down at least for next 6 months. Because after July, as everybody told, that there is no clarity on whether safeguard duty will be extended or it will not be extended. If it's not extended, there is a 9-month cushion for developers to take the modules without any BCD or safeguard duty. So people would like to have the modules in that patch, and maybe with some they would like to store the modules and keep it they might be thinking that my IDC may go up, but the increase in IDC will not be that much what the savings they will have on the BCD. For the projects which has change in law and BCD is passed through, is still 40% on the 40% BCD, you will not get 100%. So it takes time for say 1 to 2 years. So this is one constraint and for long-term contracts we have told, but today the contracts have no sanctity, because developers, as a developer, we don't have time to go into legal and challenge those contracts. If you are going to challenge a contract, it will take minimum 1 year for the results to come, and then suppose the judgment is in your favor, it's very difficult to get it implemented going in China. You have won the battle, and after 1 year when you are going to the China for implementation, then supplier can say, now I will comply. So you are in a situation where your project is delayed. You don't have that kind of timelines for your project COD. So as of now, no long-term strategy is working. It's some kind of spot market. Today you have discussed on some numbers, you agreed on some numbers with supplier. Tomorrow is coming, no boss, the prices silicon prices has increased, wafer prices has increased, so I will not able to honor my contractual what we have agreed on studies. It's in my last 25 years, I have never seen such kind of scenario where such a contractual dishonoring of the contractual. There is no deterrent on the contracts. For when we used to execute large projects in thermal, we used to have CPBG. That was a deterrent. But in module, the industry people doesn't have the CPBGs in their contracts. Even we didn't have in the past. We are trying, but since it's a seller's market, they told that if you want to buy, you can buy, because every developer has timeline. They have to commission the project. You have a sword on your head that you have certain timelines to commission your project. So ultimately, people are taking practical approach, and I may say it's surrendering to the demand of the module supplier. There might be some issues with module suppliers also. I'm not telling that there are certain module suppliers who has vertical integration, who has control on the polysilicon wafer and cells. So they might have some cushion and bargaining power, but there are some module suppliers who don't have controls. So they're also suffering. That's what we come to know from them. But it's such a situation. Being a supply chain guy, it's very difficult to manage in these scenarios. To all the contractual commitments are being met by your subcontractors, by your supplier or contractors. This is from the module front. From the raw material side, you have seen that there are continuous rise on the prices of steel, silver, aluminum. Every front, your prices has gone up haywire. Your BOS cost has increased. Your cable cost has increased. And you don't have any cushion. Being a developer, you don't have any cushion that you can't go to your discount and ask my tariff, you increase the tariff. And the kind of bids are coming. Recently, you have seen 2.2 rupees tariff. That is also factoring in that BCD. So I don't know how things are, how they will manage the project. It's basically a financial engineering, not the project engineering. So in nutshell, the no strategy working as of now. We are working. We are trying to find out a long-term strategy. We are discussing, but frankly speaking, every large developer had a contract, long-term contract, but sanctity of those contracts, I don't know how to say. It's not working out. There are suppliers. What we can analyze, there is no capacity constraint on the module, but I do agree there is a capacity constraint on silicon and wafers. But that is also being controlled by few. There was a consolidation in the industries. It is being controlled by a few of the suppliers. So they are controlling the market, and accordingly they are these prices are getting increased every week. Now it's a phenomenon. Every week is getting increased. There was a report in PIBO Infilling in December that the prices may soften in January and February. But We are in March and prices are going up. Module prices, every day you see that the prices are going up, up, up. I don't foresee what is the timeline when it will normalize. So, it's a really a very tough situation. It's a really tough situation, and don't know how it will pan out. It has to pan out. Maybe after BCD, when BCD is kicked in, then maybe after that point the market may stabilize, and then it may follow its correction, and then it gets stabilized, because it's nature's law. If nothing can go up, it has to come down. But that the only question is when it will come down. Being a developer, we don't have that kind of leeway. We can wait for indefinite period. We have to build our projects, may what so come here. So that's a way forward. We are trying, and we are taking a practical approach and trying to build our projects. Numbers are not matching what we have put in our bid, and so this is a real pain for all the developers. So this is the nutshell what I can say on this.
Right now, supply chain is the most difficult job in this current scenario.
Yeah.
Definitely. So thanks a lot, Mr. Sarvesh. So I'll just circle back to you with a few more questions. And so my next question is to Dr. Nikhil Agarwal. Good evening, Doctor. So my question to you, Mahindra Sustain, is so how have you been coping up with this mayhem of a market, and what do you sort of see that that would sort of pull the price down at least in the next 6 months? So what do you think? I mean, not just modules, but yeah, the overall components industry also. And how do you also see that like by any improvement in any new technology or any new developments that can sort of contribute to bring the cost down, even by say few percent?
Okay. So thank you, Vishant. I will take up the last question first, the technology one. What our view is right now, what is happening in the industry overall, India perspective, we are lagging on the technology, and this imposition of BCD and imposition of ALM, it both is going to make the technologically we are going to be lagging behind much more. So because earlier last year we were moving from poly to monopoly, and the prices we were seeing a delta was less than a 2 cent, 1.5 cent and 2 cent in that range. Now that delta again has gone up to 4 cent, 4.5 cents. So again, for a developer, for us, it's again a poly become one of the contender. Supply is a challenge, it's true, but that become a contender because the prices had gone to the level that is whatever the additional gain we will get from monopoly is not going to compensate that. That is the one thing. Second thing, that let's say we have this BCD after next year from April, and then again the modules supply from India, the efficiency of modules as well as the size of the watt peaks of the modules, you would not be able to get what you are even getting today from neighboring countries. So again, what we are forcing to us that okay, you have to, let's say in ALM we have the maximum watt peak today is 400 watt peak only, whereas in the product if you want to buy, we can buy even 600 watt peak today. So it means again we are forcing technology to take a back seat. Okay, let the market be driven by the cost numbers only. Technology will come later, and that's where the issue is. And similar issue is with the BIS also, because again, even today, if you want to put a small test bed also with the latest technology models, like let's say we want to put a test bed with HJT, we can't do it because no HJT subject has even gone for the BIS for HJT model. So again, technology is taking a backseat. What we are seeing, and this pricing bloodbath is going to take it much more severely. Now, softening on prices, as we discussed, there are three more major factors. Transportation, definitely it will come down in 2 to 3 next 1 to 2 quarters. I don't see that it will going to stay to these levels for a very long period. But yes, the polysilicon price and the glass pricing, which still we see, at least it will take 3 to 4 quarters more to come soft, because I am not seeing polysilicon. One of the major reason was the demand forecast for even this year, the year 21-22, we are seeing around overall worldwide around 140 to 150 gigawatt is the forecasted module supply is requirement. And for that, we are looking something around 750, 760 metric ton of polysilicon. And whatever I understood from the industry, that the supply is still what they can see is around 650, 680 metric ton only. And there is a gap around 10 to 15% gap of polysilicon is there. And that is definitely going to push the price of the wafers to a higher level, and that is not going to soften. That is the C on the polysilicon. Glass price has already increased from the China, and again with on top of this we have now duty. I will say it's anti-dumping. So that will definitely going to have a major hit, because for Indian manufacturer the supply of glass is going to have a very major challenge, because as Vineet said, that the current capacity in India is very limited, and the current supplier has to give to each of its customers, and they are not able to give the quantity which even the Indian suppliers are looking for. So the glass price is going to be, but again, this 10% increase of around 10% increase of glass will not have a very high impact on the module prices, something around 3 to 4% only. But yes, that will have an impact, but this will definitely going to be leveraged maybe in next 2 to 3 quarters. The major challenge will be on still on the polysilicon prices, because that's where we for Indian manufacturers still we have to buy cells from China. So again, 25% BCD is something going to be still going to be the supply of cell. I don't see is going to improve within a year for India. Maybe we'll have a 500 megawatt additional 1 gigawatt additional capacity, but it's nothing which we are looking for. We are looking for around something around 20 gigawatt in a year to reach to our targets of 175 gigawatts, and that is not going to happen with this 1 gigawatt of additional cell lines. So the challenge will be there. The pricing is not going to soften, and the module price will still remain on the higher side. And that's what we are also forecasting our projects, which we are trying to do. And let's see. And the other metal is like aluminum, structure material. That is in any case it's a market driven. There was some cartelling at some particular point of time, but in any case, government of India is taking care of that. But they will be within that range of 5 to 10% only. That is not going to increase to high levels.
Got it. Great insights, Dr. Nikhil. So, so you threw up some great numbers on, the polysilicon shortages that's being sort of forecasted in the near future. So that brings my next question to Mr. Sanjeev once again. So, the upstream segment has been facing a lot of pressure on pricing. So, how. And Sterling, doing like gigawatt scale projects. So do you see, going one step further and sort of having contracts done on the upstream segments, be it for any of your components, and would that sort of help in the long term bidding, and also how do you see the project viability with the increased module wattages that you would also see with maybe introduction of say 500 watts or 600 watts modules, and also with new bifacial systems with or without trackers. So do you sort of I mean you can throw some insights on viability of these projects, and also contracts with upstream segments also.
Okay. I think before I share this, I just would like to answer some of the, just a minute. Can I share some screen? I'm not able to share the screen.
EQ team, can you please help?
Yeah, yeah, I think it can be done now. Is it visible?
Yes.
Okay. So I'll just. So I think I just want to like to answer some of this. We are in one of the best places to work for. I mean, from an EPC. Hello. So I mean, solar has been one of the best industries so far. What we see globally, if you see, we have done around 480 gigawatts, and India would be. And if you see India, we have done last year only 3.3 gigawatts. So I was thinking this year, next year, it should be around 8.7 is estimate numbers which market is looking at. And next year again 8.9. So given this scenario, government imposition of Indian manufacturing, I think is not matching, because if this is the way we are going to have an estimate when we don't have Indian capacity for this type of module manufacturing, then I don't think we'll have these numbers reached in any way. I mean, I'll have to depend on Chinese module suppliers. That is my biggest worry, because otherwise we have to, this numbers will go down drastically. If you see typical manufacturing cost, what we have done, or a poly or a monopoc, this is the typical cost. But then when it comes to Indian manufacturers, they are quoting, this is the manufacturing cost of China's. But if you see Indian manufacturers, they are quoting around 27, 28 cents. The cap is too huge. Even if you add margins on this, what our panelist was saying of BCDs and this BCD, and then also Indian manufacturers are not able to come to this cost structures. The primary reason we were discussing in our forum is from July, the price of PV glass, polysilicon, silver, aluminum, everything has improved like anything. This has got sudden jump has been seen in the pricing. So that is the reason module manufacturers have given up the prices what they have given to the market. Nobody thought this will, as one of the panelists said, there were always changes, but all the four major components increasing together is a rare phenomena, which has disturbed the manufacturing at all. Coming to silicon prices, if you see, it was way coming down, but suddenly from September onwards, if you see, the price again has started going up, and it almost touched $13.8 per kg, which is again hit not only Chinese suppliers, it has hit the Indian suppliers also. And these are the facts. I mean, whatever negotiation as an EPC or as a developer, whatever we do, the hard facts are before us. So there has to be, we have to take this into consideration when we are bidding now, or when we are finalizing contracts for next 6 months or 1 year, because nobody can predict that this will come down immediately down. Because just recently, 5 days back, there is again an increase in polysilicon price, which has been declared. Now coming to India, that is what my concern is. Today we have module suppliers in India who are going 10 gigawatts maximum. Cell giga is approximately 2 gigawatt. I mean, these are approximate numbers. I am not quoting. I've just taken references from my friends in the industry. And as Mr. Nikhil was saying, people are planning, or somebody is planning to enhance cell capacities by 1 gigawatt, 2 gigawatt. I don't think it will cross 4 gigawatt also. So this is a basic concern when we have Indian, especially Indian theme running, that how do we match our targets, the projects what we want to do, we don't have manufacturing capacities available with us. So people have, unfortunately, Indian manufacturers have not ramped up their capacities. And plus, as Dr. Nikhil was saying, technology aspects also. When we are able to get 500 watt peak, 600 watt peaks modules from China, India today under ALM is maximum is 400 watt peak. So how do we balance that? I mean, that means you are allowing Indian developers or Indian as a country to go for a module supplier, which is 2 years or 1.5 year back technology, and trying to build plants, which is not be viable, which is not be for a developer or for a EPC, those will not be viable. So these are the one of the concerns areas from my side. And coming back to your question on bifacial, we have been working other than India, outside India, mostly on bifacial technology only. And we have been, whatever plants we are building up in Australia or in Middle East, they're all with bifacial technologies. But we can't have a long-term contracts with them because, as one of the panelists said, those Chinese suppliers, nobody would like to. I mean, I'm facing a challenge today when even a signed contracts are not being honored. So with the recent price hike, I mean, even a signed contract and with LCs open, I have to renegotiate. I am forced to renegotiate. And based on that, I have to give them higher price because the project has to be completed. So this is a concern area. And that is the reason we as an EPC would not, even if I have orders which have to be built in 2022, I'm not signing any contracts with the module suppliers, binding them today, because I know very well, even if I sign today, whether they will honor that price or not is a big question mark. So in that case, it's better to wait and watch, see what is the timing when I require these modules, and based on that, take a call and close those contracts. So this would be from my side.
Great, Mr. Pushkarna. So, I mean, that was very insightful of the numbers which you threw. Completely agree with the numbers of the price increases and the trends that you've been seeing, and how Indian manufacturers should also gear up, competing with the Chinese in places where they are deficit currently. So I would like to throw this question to both Navitas and Vari. So we've listened from a lot of developers and sorry, my apologies, I got disconnected. Yeah, so my question to Vari and Navitas, that though, I mean, this is from the feedback loop which a lot of developers and EPCs have expressed, that though Chinese have been little challenging in terms of contracts, etc., but they do offer a plethora of other benefits, in terms of technology and cost competitiveness, etc. So to make Indian manufacturers more cost competitive, at the same time increasing the technology curve, my apologies again. Yeah, so yeah, sorry, am I audible now?
Yeah, you're audible, but not able to see a video.
Yeah, I don't know. It says somebody has disabled my video. I don't know. If I start my video, the meeting gets disconnected. So I'm not sure what exactly it is. Yeah, I'll just complete the question, then I'll turn the video on. Uh, I mean, with many challenges on cost and technology curve going up. So, how do we become more cost competitive, also helping the manufacturing industry? So, I mean, so increasing the duties, also in turn sort of increase the prices, and though it favors the manufacturers, but again, it ends up increasing the project costs, etc. So how do you see? I mean, apart from the duties, how do we be more competitive in cost and on technology at the same time? I mean, somewhere being equivalent to Chinese and sort of being at the parity level.
So Vishan, just to answer your question, I had also reiterated in the start itself that we need to develop a complete ecosystem right now. Okay, and we are already behind China. What Mr. Sanjay Pushkarna is saying is right. We are already behind China in terms of developing the complete ecosystem. But why are we behind? That's again a question mark. The certain policies which are already there, in China around 10 years back, we are trying to implement them right now, which is why there was no boost to the Indian manufacturers in the past 12 years of our manufacturing. We have seen there was never any boost given to Indian manufacturers. There were a lot of policies which were announced and then were taken away, again announced, again taken away, and then all of us got into a rat race of bringing down the cost per unit of electricity. So now everybody is doing a financial engineering. Everybody wants to bring down the cost per unit. Earlier, it used to be a grid parity. Solar has to achieve grid parity. Now, grid is trying to achieve solar parity. We have gone to a level wherein 1 rupees 99 paisa or probably 1 rupees 50 paisa, you might even get that also. I don't know from where these costs are coming and how much low do we want to go and at what cost. If 4 rupees 50 paisa or 5 rupees is the cost of the grid, if we maintain probably something nearby to that, or 3 rupees 50 or 4 rupees, if we cap it up over there, we will be financially viable. It will be financially viable for even the Indian manufacturers, and as it is, we are buying it from the thermal at the rate of 5 rupees, 6 rupees. If we cap the solar at 4 rupees or 3 rupees 50 paisa, 4 rupees, what's the problem in that? Then automatically, even for the developers, it will be much easier to buy it from the Indian manufacturers. And when will the R&D happen? R&D or the development will happen only when there is some margin left for the Indian manufacturers. Right now, Indian manufacturers are trying to compete with Chinese guys. They are dumping modules here in India. Okay, and what Sanjeev sir showed us the figures. If you see at their manufacturing cost, and we are paying duty on every raw material that we are getting, from the cell or to the wafer also, from the wafer to even the aluminium frame. Everywhere we are paying duties, and it is our fault that we were not able to develop that kind of infrastructure here in India. Okay, and if we continue doing what we have been doing, then opportunities are there for India. Opportunities are there in India, but the jobs are created for China. Revenue is created for China. So how long do we want to continue with this thing? That we'll have to take a hard call right now. There might be some incremental prices in terms of the PPAs that are being signed, but that would be for a shorter period of time. After 1.5 years, when all these capacities are ramped up, we have a clear visibility in terms of the policies that are there. Who will not like to invest in India? As I earlier told, the way it has happened in automobile industry, and you see what not all is been made in India. All the ancillaries around the automobiles are developed in India. All the bigger manufacturers are manufacturing it in India, and India is growing in terms of automobiles. Similar will happen for the modules also, but for that, there has to be a time given, one thing, and along with that, there has to be enough boost that needs to be given. Even again, like there is a lobby going on that BCD shouldn't be there, BCD aa jayega, so there will be a problem. But then I want to ask one thing, that is it that we want to be dependent forever on China so that they keep controlling the prices every time? If that is a scenario, then yes, we can take that call. But if that is not the scenario, then we will have to take a heat for 1 year or 6 months, but then the entire generation would be secure. That's the assumption for mine. Mr. Vineet might add up to it.
Yeah, I mean, most of the points Ajay has already covered up, like comparing our industry of manufacturing PV products with automobile, and we have seen duties to the extent of 100 and 120%. And within few years, maybe few decades, definitely. But now India is a major exporter of automobiles. So it takes time, what Ajay exactly mentioned. It takes time, you need to give time to the manufacturing. It's not an easy job to manufacture in India, arranging all the resources and manpower and electricity and then all the policies required to run a setup and then be able to be profitable to reinvest in R&D. So for that you need a longer vision. I mean, I'm actually surprised of increase in tariff by say 10, 20, 30 paisa versus the tremendous pressure the overall industry is facing due to dependency on China. And this is a fact which is in front of us, everyone. I mean, we are almost everyone suffering from contracts which are being rescinded, which are being regretted from Chinese manufacturers. Do we want to continue with this situation for the next 10 years? Or maybe, as again Ajay said, maybe 1 year, 1.5 years, we face the brunt. And obviously, when the BCD is looking to be implemented, MNRE has been I mean, I would say they have been very much long term in their thinking by giving a 12-month window. I mean, in 12 months, if we can't plan our resources of bidding and of ramping up module manufacturing or cell manufacturing or the other raw materials manufacturing, that's a good enough time. So ramping up takes time. You need to arrange resources. Like if you go to China, and when we very easily compare ourselves with China, we don't really compare the ecosystem that we have and that these guys have. I mean, for them, setting up a 1 gigawatt module line or a cell line will be like a 3 to 6 month job. I mean, they have ready-made factories. You just move in your machinery and you start production in 15 days to a month's time. You get all the approvals, you get the bank finances ready, and you're good to go. You just need to make sure that you can sell in the market. Rest everything falls in place. So to reach that level, it will take some time for India. Even whatever limited capacity of manufacturing we have in India, I would think that it is still second or third in the world, and it's not a joke. I mean, even with whatever limited resources we have been able to supply to Americas, Europes, and the Africas of the world, where those people have also faced a lot of issues working with Chinese manufacturers. So rather than just focusing on the tariff of a utility power plant, there are so many other applications for solar. We are conveniently forgetting them. Like we just keep on forgetting the immense benefits of distributed solar. When a rural market gets a solar power for his household needs, for his pumping needs, for the street light needs, and even for cooking needs, we just conveniently forget that there is a necessity to get electricity in those remote locations, and we can't perennially depend on China for those requirements. And these requirements are not just available. I mean, in India, we need those in Africa, we need those in Middle East, we need it everywhere. And why can't we become a manufacturing hub, not just for the India market, but for global markets? And definitely we can't compete with China on muscle power. They will be always bigger than us, but there is still a lot of market to cover with limited resources that we have in India. So again, I mean, on a macro level, India stands to gain by manufacturing, and there is a little loss in terms of tariff, but that tariff is also momentary because those can be predicted, and people can bid their prices considering the increase in tariff. So I don't see it as a very big issue. Even now, people have been importing. So again, sorry, I'm elongating a little bit, but developers were always enjoying the benefits of falling module prices whenever they have bid. So they have bid at a certain tariff, and when they start buying the modules, the actual price has always been lower. This is the first time the prices have increased, and we are all shouting on the top of our voice that we are dependent on China, they are resigning their contracts. That's the nature. They will do that, and they will keep on doing that every time. You talk about any sector, they will do this. without any blink of an eye. Whether we wanted to continue with us or not, do we want to remain intimidated by them or not? That's our question we have to ask ourselves.
Great, great. Thanks, Mr. Mittal. I mean, that was, that was a good point you mentioned, where manufacturers have always suffered, and developers have sort of enjoyed, the falling market prices. So that brings to my next question to Mr. Manish. I'm so sorry, Mr. Manish. So I didn't notice you were present earlier. My apologies on that. Building upon Mr. Mittal's comment, so how do you see that? I mean, because even when prices increase, the manufacturers haven't made much margins per se. So so what? How do you see? I mean, how do you sort of balance? The increasing prices of modules versus the offtake increase at the same time, and also how do you see
Hello. Hello.
We have lost Vishant.
Hello. Vishant.
Sir, I think we
Am I
lost
audible?
connection. Yeah, it's like you can continue, sir.
Hello.
Yeah, sorry. My apologies. I got disconnected. Yeah. So I know how should one strategize? From just a pure module supplier. Being I mean, with different module suppliers having different capacities, be it say below 100 megawatts and some between 100 to 500 megawatt segment, and maybe 500 to 1 gigawatt and beyond. So how should different um, players cater to different segments of the market, and how the different segments are also reciprocating towards the same?
Good evening, all. Am I audible, Vishant?
Yes, you are very much audible.
Thank you very much for the EPT to arrange this webinar on the current RM, the raw material pricing of the module. To everybody already discussed that right now the complete supply chain, or you can say the complete component chain of the raw material of the solar module and solar cells also is increased abnormally. Last few months, we see it increase different items very rapidly. You can say the cell, glass, batteries, box, in box, corrugated box. Lots of people are packing of the solar panels in corrugated box. In last 1.5 months, corrugated box also increased by 40%. Definitely, this whole price change or whole market scenario. Currently, everybody knows that currently next China and Chinese. Apart this, there is also after pandemic and after September in India, demands are also good. Even the PCR content demands are very good. Rooftop demands are very good. And suddenly, 31st December, there is a one notification come from the that 10 kilowatt and above you are not allowed for not. So for that, lots of very states allow it up to 31st of March. So maximum people are in the rush to stop plant before 31st of the March. So that a very huge demand also in the market. Also, the people are getting their projects and lots of things. So this is also one scenario. And other is that the polysilicon whole market is up. Prices are up. I have one sheet. If you can you show that sheet? I make one sheet. So what is the current price scenario in the market of the polysilicon raw material, especially module raw material?
Can you show one question? Venkat, anybody from yes?
Yeah, Mr. Manish, I think we are losing you a bit. You want us to display something?
Yes, yes. I send on the only one sheet to with the display there.
Okay, okay.
Yes, yes. You can see what is the price variation of the solar panel raw material from August 2020 to March 21. If that all calculation in INR, it is all calculation in INR. Lots of people are saying that module manufacturers are prices high or they are taking more margin and this and that. But you can see in this sheet what is the price of solar cell in August 2020. That is average price I have taken here. Average price of solar cell is that time is 28 rupees. Now that is average price at 6.5 rupees. The same glass nearly double, EVA nearly double, junction box aluminum ribbon is increasing more than 30-40%. Every raw material. And if we calculate that raw material costing impact per watt, that comes at least 4 minimum 4 per watt that impact from August 2020 to March 21. And whatever we give here, if we are selling a module price module in August 5 watt. Right now the maximum selling price 18 to 18.5. So currently we have a net loss of 2 or 2.5 per watt right now. So module manufacturers are also with a great with a very heavy pressure for margins to running factory. Is the same scenario running till next month or next to next month. There is a heavy problem with all the even that at this time we are not getting we are not getting raw materials from the China. Cells are not available in the market. So in upcoming time, there is no chance. There is no chance to reducing the policy for price down or raw material price. Maybe some part the price down little bit, but not so much.
Great. Thanks a lot, Mr. Gupta. So that was very insightful for bringing up the differences in each of the raw material components and the overall price impact it has brought on at the module level. Great. So I jump over to Mr. Sachin from Enki Energy. So good evening, Mr. Sachin. We understand that you are your company deals with carbon credits, etc. So, how has this scenario been, for your company and your firm, and what sort of policy advocacy that you are currently, promoting and advising the government, etc. Yeah. Mr. Sachin, are you around? Yeah.
Yeah, am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Yeah, okay. Hello.
Hello. Mr. Sachin, are you there?
Hello.
Yeah, we can hear you, Mr. Sachin.
So yeah,
yes, you are.
Audible?
Yes, you are.
Hello, am I? Yeah.
Team EQ, can you just look into Mr. Sachin's request? I think he would like to present something.
Audible, Vishal?
Yes, you are.
Hello? Hello?
Hello. Yeah, you are audible, Sachin. You can please go ahead. Hello. Hello. Team EQ, is there any issue with the audio of Sachin?
Actually, we are on a call with Sachin sir. Let me check first with him.
He will share the presentation. No?
If there is any audio issues, can we move on to the other panelists?
Yes, sir, you can move on to the another speaker.
Hello?
Yeah, Sachin sir?
Yeah, Sachin.
Yeah, we can hear you, sir. You can
Yeah,
continue.
okay, I can continue. Sorry, there was a disconnection of my network. Yeah, yeah. Uh, Good evening, everyone. So, I work with Enking, and Enking is one of the major companies in the sector of carbon pricing and carbon offsets. It's not very directly related to solar when we see from a layman's perspective, but from a very if you drill down, then it's obviously related because solar is one of the greenest form of energy, and it is helping companies reduce their carbon footprint. Now, there was a time when carbon offsets we used to trade at the price of around $15 to $20 before 2011, during the time of 2008 to 11, and after that, due to the European crisis, the prices crumbled, and after that, many of the players who solar players also who had registered their projects with various standards to get this carbon offsets didn't issue their carbon credits, and even till now people have the perception that this market is not functioning. But I would just like to throw some examples and tell you how this is relevant, and how this is relevant to the discussion that we're having right now also. To mitigate the risk of varying prices of modules. So multiple companies, even oil and gas companies are now considering carbon offsets as a commodity to hedge their risk in future from varying oil prices, oil and gas prices. That could be Shell, BP, multiple organizations. Even one of the major oil and gas international oil and gas companies has the board of that company has approved a joint venture to be established in India with our company to implement carbon offset projects. Carbon offsets will be generated from those projects because of the emission reduction or carbon dioxide absorption that happens due to those projects, and those carbon offsets will be tagged along with products in the future to mark them carbon neutral, and that's a new kind of strategy or new kind of product strategy these companies are taking. So as someone also told that right now the prices in the market is not only about product engineering, it is more about financial engineering. So I think the next phase of this market would be about commodity engineering. How do you commoditize the module or the electricity that this module generates with the environmental component or the green benefit that the electricity also comes up with? Maybe in the past recent 4-5 years, the prices were not that great, But since 2017, if I tell you, we have been seeing that the prices have almost tripled since 2017. 2017, the rate of carbon offsets was around 30-35 cents US dollars in the market. But right now, the same carbon offsets are trading in the range of 95 cents to $1 in the carbon market. And our company itself has grown 3 times every year since 2017. And right now, our company is the first company to launch IPO in this sector, a company from this carbon offset sector to launch IPO. And it's not only about carbon offset. So carbon pricing itself is playing a great role. According to a report by World Bank about state and trend of carbon pricing around the world, governments around the world have generated approximately $49 billion in 2019 from carbon pricing initiatives. So carbon pricing initiatives cover emission trading systems like that. There is an EU emission trading system. Right now, UK has come off EU, so UK is also establishing its emission trading system. Now we have been discussing so much about China. China is also coming up with its own emission trading system. Similarly, there are various carbon pricing initiatives like South Africa has its own carbon tax in law. Mexico, Colombia, there are multiple countries who have this carbon pricing initiatives or carbon tax initiatives. Through the revenue generated from these initiatives are used in climate change mitigation activities or climate change reduction activities. So it is now time to think of other business models. Even in there are a couple of examples, like Reliance has become the first company in India to procure carbon neutral LNG shipment. So a shipment of LNG that they procured, the life cycle analysis of that shipment was done, and number of carbon offsets or the carbon footprint of that shipment was calculated. And the same ton of carbon offsets were procured from the market, and these shipment were neutralized. So various companies are coming up with these kind of initiatives or this kind of new product strategies to differentiate themselves. Even there are certain kind of loans which where the loans are result based loans. So when you generate the result, and those results are in the form of carbon offsets. So you implement a project, and the impact of that project is it should reduce carbon dioxide emission or GHG emissions per se, global greenhouse gas emissions. And when those emissions are calculated and certified as carbon offsets and delivered to the loan supplying agency, they then give you the next tranche of loan. So such kind of innovations can also be thought of, and maybe this could be some additional. This will act as an additional incentive for project owners, project developers, even maybe the module suppliers also. So it's all about how you inculcate or how you kind of tie both of these commodities, the electricity and the carbon benefit or the climate change benefit or the emission reduction benefit together as a product and sell it to your customer. Even today, I think there was a news about Merck, MERC, coming up with a policy or a scheme of green electricity. So corporates are searching for options to reduce their scope 2 emissions. So when you go for carbon footprint calculation, there are scope 1, scope 2, scope 3 emissions. Scope 2 emission is about the emission that is resulting from your grid electricity, that you are consuming. So by replacing that grid electricity with an electricity which is backed by RECs or the environmental component of the green benefit, will help them neutralize their scope 2 emission, and in this way they can achieve their carbon neutrality targets, net zero emission targets. So these are the terms that everyone in this industry might have been hearing, and that's how you can tie your product or your services with these terms and with these benefits, and maybe that could lead us to finding a way through which we can mitigate the risk of these varying prices. Thank you.
Great inputs, Sachin. I'm sure a lot of other panelists and other audience members from the audience would like to connect with you offline on this to take it further. With time constraints of another 10 minutes, so I'll just keep my question short, and maybe we can have final thoughts from different panelists on on their final comments. So maybe starting with Mr. Jindal. So your final thoughts of how the industry is panning out, and do you see many entities or parties having being present in just more than one part of the segment? Do you see more of vertical integration or any sort of integration happening, and how do you sort of foresee the the developers planning in the foreseeing future?
So the way I look at, I think this will definitely result in backward integration, and we need to see how this PLI will also be in the picture and how it will support the industry. So this PLI, the manufacturer yet to get the full things how that will phase out and how it will support. I think it will work out, but it will take time. And for the developers, like couple of fellow panelists already highlighted, it's not an easy time. We have already won the case. We need to see how to overcome this challenge in the short term and see how that goes.
Great. Thanks, Mr. Jindal. So my next question is to Mr. Sarvesh. I'm not sure if he's around. Do you also see manufacturing improvement? Manufacturing increasing. Beyond certain measures, apart from just the duties. I guess he's left. Okay. So, Pushkar, you would like to take the question on that, and also, do you sort of see price sort of getting stabilized, and do you see the lows have already been hit, and this is what we would probably be seeing in the next 1 to 2 years?
So I think solar industry has gone to the lows, and I don't think it will the prices for next 1.5 year or 2 years, 1 year at least. I don't think price coming down substantially. If I say module price, I see module price. If I'm not talking about India, but globally, if I'm buying for projects outside India and all, and I'm talking about bifacial more. I started bifacial 1.5 year back at 27 cents, 28 cents, and then it came down to almost people were talking about 20 cents or sub 20 cents. Middle East, people were talking of 18 cents. Big bids were being thought about 18 cents and all that. So bifacial, I think, will be stabilizing around 23, 24. It will not come to sub 20 levels with immediate one. I don't see at least 1 year period. And but coming to Indian market again, because of this confusion of ALM and DCT coming up, there's going to be a rush between July to March. There will be a lot of pressure, and because of that pressure, again, suppliers are not going to bring down the pricing. It will be more or less. If it doesn't increase, it will not come down. So I don't see prices coming down in near future immediately. Maybe after 2022, and thanks to Corona, and one of the reasons, a lot of people like typical example, we thought India had not done great installation in solar in 2020. It was only 3.2, but US had surpassed, and they did 11 gigawatt almost in 2020, which is their highest in 1 year. So, and with Europe coming up in a big way, I don't see module pricing coming down, because parallelly the capacities have increased substantially. If you see Longi himself, their plant capacity have gone up to almost 45 gigawatts, even though they are not manufacturing today. So their capacities are available, but the demands are also picked up. So in a cycle where you see more of suppliers, and the prices should come down. Here the ways the demand is also picking up substantially. The module capacities have increased, and coupled up with this polysilicon and glass and all these raw material prices coming are straining up. I don't see, if you ask me as an EPC, and I'll thank my friends and developers that they should bid, assuming which we were doing in 1.5 years, 2 years back, which every quarter or every 6 months we were assuming price will come down. That will not happen. So that will be a thing of past now.
True, true. Great. So my next question is to Dr. Nikhil. Dr. Nikhil, with this pricing or price trends, what we are currently seeing, I mean, the industry was perhaps maybe like 2017 or 2018 level. So even then, the market was sort of 5 to 6 gigawatts or maybe 5 to 7 gigawatts. So do you see price stabilization, and do you also see the numbers increasing, and do you also see how do you see sort of discoms not having a backlash with the increased tariffs? Maybe a 1 minute thought on this.
Okay, see, Discom may have a little bit backlash, but that is not going to be a very big concern. I will say the capacity installation is going to increase. So last year already around 40 gigawatts, which is already in the pipeline, it has to be installed. It's not that it's not going to be installed. They are in different stages of PPA also. So that is the installation is going to happen. Yes, price impact is there, cost impact is there on the modules, and right now it's not in our control. Even one point which I wanted to add, that when we are saying after implementation of BCD, even still we will not be able to control the module prices. Even if we are buying wafers, we will get a costly wafer. If we are buying cells, we will get a costly cells. So at the end, it's still we will not be able to control the prices of the modules. Till now, we have the control on the full supply chain. As we all agree that control on the full supply chain is very necessary. And if we will add cell manufacturing facility, then we will have constraint in wafer. So unless we don't start from wafer or ingot, right now it's not good to start. But at least wafer to full module, we should have supply chain able to meet the demand of Indian developers, EPC players. Then only we will be able to get out of this rat race of pricing being controlled by from other countries.
Great, great. Great. A very short question to Dr. Rajesh Singh. Dr. Rajesh, just wanted to check, any developments of, improved encapsulant such as, say, polyolefin, matching the price or beating the price of EVA with duties? I mean, which can help projects more, increase the project lifetime.
Vishant, you asked question with me because I was dropped for a few moments.
Okay, I was just checking with you, just your 20-second thought on, improved encapsulants matching the price of EVA with duties. I mean, such as, say, something like polyolefin, which will eventually help lower the tariffs. So on the LCOE front, so do you see a possibility there in the next immediate future?
Okay, so what is happening? If you see 8 years back, there was no manufacturer of EV or battery in India. We came up. Now we became 10-year-old company. Now a lot of people are coming. So I think any price changes happens now will be based on the internal competition. Today, there are 7-8 people coming up with various capacities, from small capacity to medium-sized capacity. I think this is what will drive the price now going forward. The ADD on UVH for 5 years, so this will get covered in 2024, and ADD comes only when there's a need. So, all people, government gives certain incentives based on the merit of the case. So this is what will happen in EVA. I think, as I said in my previous speech, EVA price is going to be firm for next 5-6 months. Then capacity in EVA region will come up, where supply side will be eased out. Then probably demand will remain, or it will little bit increase, and then balancing happen better and softening of EVA price. But currently EVA price is say in rupee term I say 140, 150 rupees. It may come down a little bit, but again someone said gone the days where EVA used to available in 75 rupees or so, because overall it will be governed by the major raw material which is EVA resin, and as a polymer is going to be short supplied for some time now, at least I'm saying a horizon of 3-4 years, unless big capacities come in various part of globe.
So I'll have to cut you short. We're running short of time. So my next question would be to Mr. Sachin. Just your final thoughts on how the investor sentiment is on with projects continuing with lower IRR. I mean, so you could just throw your 20 seconds on this. Mr. Sachin, are you around? I think you're on mute.
Yeah, I'm there. Sorry, I missed your question, Vishant. Could you please?
Yeah, I was just checking. I mean, your final thoughts on on the investor sentiment and how whether are investors ready to operate at lower IRRs and at least for a short period of time or foreseeable future.
Yeah. So actually, in case I mean related to our subject of carbon offsets, so one of the important parameters is also about additionality of the project. So and most easiest way for us to prove additionality is by doing a financial calculation where if your IRR is lesser than the benchmark IRR set by UN, so your project proves to be additional, and then you are eligible to get carbon credits. So in a way, if we are seeing that the IRR is decreasing, and so that might be a good. I mean, from my point of view, is a good signal to get these additional benefits also integrated with the financial models.
Great. Got it. So I think we would be loving to have these discussions going on. I mean, because it's such a vast topic and such an interesting topic. I'm not too sure if we have the luxury of time. I mean, yeah, I think I see Mr. Mittal throwing his hand up. I mean, you would like to have final round of comments.
I would like to ask you a question on the stand of Adani. I mean, more or less, you are getting vertically integrated with decent capacity of cell, module, EVA, backseat, and upcoming aluminum frame and everything. How are you assessing the situation as a manufacturer and then as a developer?
Yeah, so I thought being on the other side was easier, so you put me on the wrong spot. So yes, I mean we are of the opinion like vertical integration and sideways integration is one of the ways to sustain in this tough industry, and of course, I mean not just in terms of cost competitiveness, but also in terms of providing jobs and it also comes with nation building, etc. So our motto is just not to be on one side of it, but yeah. So yes, so we would be bringing our ancillary units and also expanding our ancillary units along with cell and module line. And so yeah, we also believe that scaling up is one way to see the challenges, confront the challenges. And also, yeah, I mean, so we have a good integrated setup with Adani Green backing us up on projects as well. So yeah, so in terms of our manufacturing capacities, it would be more towards our own group company support. Great. So I'm not sure if we have the luxury of time. So I mean, so it was a pleasure hosting this session, and it was, I mean, so we had great thoughts from different experts from different segments of the industry. So it's a very vast topic, and hopefully going forward, we see some sort of cost stabilization and the volatility sort of coming to a full stop. So it was a pleasure hosting. So I hand it over to the EQ team and to take it further. And so wishing you all a lovely evening.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for your precious time on this very interesting debate and discussing a real issue. So going forward, as EQ, what we see our role in this industry is not just act as a media, but act somewhere as a bridge and fight out, or not exactly fight out also, but kind of address the real issues and the challenges the industry is facing, and not just have discussion forums, but also have follow-on things. So I'll urge you all that whatever initiatives we can take on behalf of anyone, it can be a group, it can be a single company. Even if it's a single company, if that problem is genuine, definitely it will be a problem for other companies also, the same subsector or same kind of work other companies would be doing. So we love to help you out in policy and regulatory matters, in spreading awareness, creating voice and noise around various real and genuine issues. So feel free to get in touch. I appreciate somebody reaching out to us and giving us this idea. And honestly, it's not just a webinar for us, which was successful, but we really want to help you out in your day-to-day business. And definitely, I have been seeing this industry for 13 years, and big salute to everyone, be it manufacturer, developer, government. We have come I think a long way we have all come. And it's just that there was a hope कि एक बार grid parity आएगी तो there will be a huge boom, but there are more challenges, I believe, before we get to our final destination. So, but in this journey, we are together with the industry, and we look forward to serving the industry in much more meaningful way. So that is what I really want to convey. And I really value and appreciate your precious time and your thoughts and this forum of like-minded people. So thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. And amongst rising COVID waves, so really take care of yourself and enjoy a weekend with your family indoors. Thank you. Bye.
Anand, thanks for hosting this.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Anand.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, everyone. Bye. Thanks, Nikhil.